Captain Rack of the Vortak Supremacy had always considered humans to be the galaxy's greatest joke. For 3 centuries, they had endured raid after raid, always responding with the same pathetic diplomatic protests. Their colonies burned, their ships destroyed, their people enslaved, and still they came to the negotiating table with treaties and peace offerings. Weak, Rack chittered to his bridge crew as another human transport vessel limped away from their latest attack. No wonder they call themselves the peaceful species. They lack the spine for true warfare. What Rack didn't understand, what none of the predatory species understood, was that humanity's patience wasn't weakness. It was a dam holding back an ocean. The moment that dam finally burst would be recorded in the annals of every civilization across the galaxy. Historians would mark it as the day the universe learned what humans truly were beneath their diplomatic smiles. It began on Kepler 442b, a small human agricultural colony housing 30,000 civilians. The Vortak fleet descended without warning, as they had countless times before. But this time was different. This time, they made a critical error. They targeted the children's evacuation shuttle. Ambassador Sarah Chin had been preparing for another round of peace negotiations when the news reached Earth. The footage was grainy but unmistakable. A defenseless transport filled with human children, aged 5 to 12, vaporized by Vortak plasma cannons. 427 young lives snuffed out while their parents watched helplessly from the surface. For exactly 7 minutes and 34 seconds, every human military installation across the galaxy went completely silent. Communication arrays stopped transmitting. Patrol fleets held position. Even the most remote research stations suspended all activities. Then, quietly, without fanfare or declaration of war, humanity began to move. Admiral Kozlov of the Terran Defense Force had served for 40 years, watching diplomats tie his hands while raiders pillaged human space. When the silence ended, his orders were simple. No prisoners. No warnings. No mercy. The first sign that something had changed came when the Hegemony Council received a data packet from their border sensors. Every single human fleet, military, civilian, merchant, and research, had simultaneously altered course. They were all heading toward known Vortak positions. Impossible, gasped the Zeltharian delegate, studying the tactical display. They're using their entire civilian fleet as a military force. What they witnessed next defied everything they thought they knew about human nature. Cargo haulers dropped their loads and mounted weapons. Research vessels ejected their laboratories and installed tactical systems. Even hospital ships reconfigured themselves into support carriers. The transformation took less than 6 hours. A species renowned for peace had become a unified instrument of war. Captain Rack's first indication of humanity's change came when his sensors detected a massive fleet approaching his position. Hundreds of ships, all broadcasting the same message in perfect Vortak. For the children of Kepler 442b. They're bluffing, Rack snarled, though his mandibles clicked nervously. Humans don't have the stomach for real combat. He learned the truth 3 minutes later, when the human fleet didn't bother with demands or negotiations. They simply opened fire. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, not a single Vortak ship remained operational. But the humans didn't stop there. They tracked every raider fleet, every base, every supply depot. Within 2 months, the Vortak Supremacy, a power that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia, simply ceased to exist. The other predatory species watched in growing horror as humanity systematically dismantled every organization that had ever harmed human civilians. They used tactics that violated every known principle of civilized warfare, employing psychological warfare, economic destruction, and strategic precision that bordered on the supernatural. The Krillian Consortium surrendered after 3 days. The Shadow Collective dissolved rather than face human retribution. Even the mighty Draconian Empire, which had never backed down from any fight, sent desperate peace envoys. But perhaps the most chilling moment came when Ambassador Chen addressed the Galactic Council, standing calmly at the podium where she had pleaded for peace so many times before. "We gave you 3 centuries," she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. 300 years of patience, diplomacy, and restraint. You mistook our mercy for weakness, our peace for cowardice. She paused, letting her words sink in as representatives of 1,000 species leaned forward in terrified silence. You will never make that mistake again. The galaxy learned that day that there was something far more dangerous than a species born for war, a species that chose peace, but was capable of absolute devastation when that choice was finally taken away from them.